Hello, US 102 history class. Um, I want to apologize. This lighting, I've been trying to find a place in this house where the lighting is good anywhere right now, and it's a little bit uh, challenging. Anyhow, um, so want to, I'm going to do a little summary of what we've covered, where we're going, but I also want to address some of the things that will help that class moving forward. So, um, there's a few things, um, and hopefully, what's going to get addressed soon is with this class, the videos are being blocked, and this is something that I've been discussing with the various powers that be for a while. In terms of how do we help CCAP classes better when we want to start off the semester strong, and all of these blockers are whatever, however you label them, uh, these devices are set up. So I mean, it's good, I understand, you all are in high school and you're not supposed to be looking at certain sites, and they're trying to keep you focused on academic things. But some of them, according to another teacher that I talked to from a different class, the censorship aspect can be very random or seem random. So, for example, I think that if something mentions TikTok, uh, it'll get censored. Maybe now I'm causing problems for this announcement by saying that word. Um, but ultimately, it's kind of being sensitive in its algorithms, or what it's looking for. And so I'm not necessarily posting something like tremendously controversial or graphic in violence or inappropriate. It's just the censorship aspect of it is too strong on there, and so you're not getting full access to this class like you are supposed to be, and it's setting us back a bit. Um, uh, so, and we're gonna, like, the videos have to be watched and there has to be notes on them. So first of all, the Modoc War was one of the central components to the whole entire week discussion. Uh, I mean, our information that I wanted covered and addressed. So, yeah, and then I mean, everything that every video that I'm putting up fits into the information that I want to be understood and for you all to be exposed to. So we're not going to move forward. We are going to without having watched those. So right now we might get a little bit. I don't know. I'm trying to think of. I don't want us to get behind. Um, so most of you at least turned in the notes that you could do. Uh, if your teacher is now showing you the notes that you've had in class, um, what I'm going to do is I'm just not going to grade those notes until all of the video notes are in. Or if I did give any, if I gave partial points, I'll give full points to your notes once all of the notes come in. And also remember that some videos say 4 points on it. If it's a longer video, then there's more notes. Now, look, I want to address something. I did see some notes that looked very similar to each other, like really similar. Maybe one friend wrote the notes and then maybe somebody else gets around and kind of rewords them a little bit. And there's very specific reasons that I know that had to have happened. This is college, and the notes have to be from your own, and the mistakes that were made, or some aspects of those notes showed up in the other notes. Don't do that. You can collaborate. I mean, in college, folks all work together all the time to help each other out, especially with a difficult assignment or understanding what to look for. But it needs to be different. The work needs to be uniquely your own. Okay, so So let's just put it that way. So I'm letting that slide. I'm just wanting you all to be aware. I will start to investigate things if I see patterns. Because look, I also went to college, and I always saw it when there was the smart student sometimes being used by other students, or in high school especially. Um, and I will take some time to look into that if that seems to be a pattern. So I'm not going to worry about it. Again, no one's accused of anything officially. I just want to help get us in the right direction starting off right away. The other thing is the essays. The essays have to have citations, and they have to always. This is the most challenging part of college. This is the most challenging part of this class. I understand for a lot of students, and uh, as I've mentioned, I gave an example in some previous announcements showing that they're like that. What like if you put something in your own words, it requires a citation. If it's a direct quote, a citation. And not sometimes, every time information that's used that's not coming straight from your head, that you read about or learned about, it has to then be cited. And I'm giving you an example of an essay written by another student, or should I say a student in this class, that cited everything as required. And you don't have to be as maybe, well, look, you're going to see that I grade relatively easy in the sense that if you follow the formula, you're only using the citations for the sources we use in class, that you're putting dates for the time periods covered, and that you cite afterwards, you're going to be fine. I had other students that only cited the video, the MODOC video, and they had a much shorter essay than what this student gave, the example that I'm posting, and they still got full points. I'm just giving you like a really an ideal to work with, like the one that I'm an example I'm posting underneath, okay, of what should be there. I'm giving you all until Thursday to fix your essays. Now, some of you got I graded, and you did fine. I didn't get to go through all of the essays yet, so you might have done your essay correctly, and I just didn't get a chance to grade it. But if you are looking at the example of the essay that I put, and if you go back and look at the other announcements that I have, and you see the example of citations, and if you know that you didn't do that, uh, this is your time to go ahead and go back in and try to fix the essay and send it to me, and I'll give you full points by Thursday. I want to see those citations put into your essay, okay? Within the essay, not at the end. I mentioned earlier, no works cited page is required. I just want to see from within where you're getting the information from. So this is fundamental. We're not going to be able to escape this. And I'm going to keep going over this, and I'll keep talking about it until everybody's on board with it. This is super essential to the class. And it will become easier over time. I promise you. You will see, like, when I teach, many times what will happen if I have like not a CCAP class, right away I'll have like a handful of students drop. They say, oh, this looks like too much, I can't handle it. And then the ones that stay, they might be a little frustrated, they contact me, or they try to get help from other folks. And as they get the pattern down and they start watching all the videos, writing the notes, getting into the discussions, and then writing a one-page essay, and putting the citations within the essay, full points, full points, full points, and they attain A's. And it's not as difficult as you think. I don't have you memorize things. You don't have to have multiple choice tests or exams. So please keep all of this in mind, okay? All right. So having said that, um, what then did we learn, or what did I want to try to cover for the first week? We were learning about Western expansion. We were learning about how that also correlated with displacement of the indigenous people here. There's no way to escape that history. The Modoc War is a very good example of how this came about and to the extent in which the United States government would send troops to even the smallest band of resistors in order to attain full control of this territory. And this legacy of the United States is going to eventually, we're going to see, not stop here, but later in this class, we're going to cover how we acquired Hawaii. I mean, we didn't acquire it, we took it. We have another president right now that's talking about taking territory that we want, whether anybody wants that to happen or not. It's not normal to do that from people that are considered allies per se within the realm of states. That's totally not normal in history. But the idea of a stronger nation taking land because it can, for strategic reasons or whatever reasons it wants, is a byproduct of how we even got here. And so I'll let all of you decide where you stand on the ethics of that, but that's the history that we have covered. Okay, now we're moving on to the United States and its development and the rise of industrialization, and then the class differences that we're seeing. Class as in wealth disparity and the conflicts that happen there, and some of the ideologies that come as a reaction to that. So we're going to be talking about socialism as a reaction. And remember too that what I've mentioned in some of the videos, that there wasn't uh, um, the Soviet Union existing at the time. But at the same time, why socialism is still appealing to people today, even though there's so many states that have been viewed as controversial to so many people, is that capitalism remains controversial. And different states in the world have found ways to try to address this wealth inequality and this imbalance. And so that's another interesting thing to go on when we talk about development of Western civilization, our history of the world. But for now, we're focusing on the United States. And for this week, we're going to talk about Helen Keller and why she's interesting to me. And I just want to quickly say this because this video is already a little bit long. When I was a child, we always watched Helen Keller movies. I don't know if all of you are exposed to Helen Keller as a discussion as much nowadays, but she was blind and she couldn't hear, and she was able to eventually learn how to communicate with the help of her mentor, Anne Sullivan. And it's an amazing story. But the system has kind of controlled the narrative that they want to show about Helen Keller's legacy, in the same way that the system, and I'm talking about the US government system, controls the narrative about Martin Luther King Jr. Martin Luther King Jr., we just had a day celebrating his legacy, and everybody hears the "I Had a Dream" speech. But Martin Luther King Jr. also had another speech called Beyond Vietnam, which we will talk about later, where he heavily criticizes the US government. He was defending the rights of sanitation workers. And he was very much a critic of the system. But what's happened is that we're given through popular media and often through government influence a more sanitized, a safer version of Martin Luther King Jr., the one that the system accepts, not the one that it rejected, not the one that had the FBI surveilling him, and we're seeing him as a potential threat to the state at the time. Okay, Helen Keller was a socialist. She advocated for workers' rights. She understood the struggle and the inequalities of our system. She hit at that hard. but that's never how that part of her legacy is almost never addressed, because that's not the Helen Keller that they want to highlight. They want to show somebody rising, bringing themselves up by their bootstraps, kind of almost like a version of a success story within a capitalist liberal democracy, not somebody who would criticize it, right? So I just want you to think about that as we go through the history and you look at her. And again, your own thoughts about socialism or capitalism, or even that part of her legacy or anybody else's. These are all your subjective rights that you're going to have to process these up. But I'm showing historically, factually, this is how this is all played out, and this is how these legacies have become manipulated in popular culture. So I'll end it there. I hope you're having a good week, and I hope we get some better clarification on what we need to do to move forward. I want to help all of you succeed and to do well in this class.